Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are looking at a single polish again. I did pick one that I thought was appropriate for the season. This is Toil and Trouble by Bee's Knees Lacquer. It is an olive green base with a fine silver magnetic pigment. If you have thought to yourself, there's a lot of magnetics in her list lately, yes, and there are more coming. I did buy a bunch of magnetics, I think in the early fall, and I haven't finished swatching them yet, so here we are. And I did buy this because I did sort of think it was not ugly, but just in that range of colors that is not complementary to my skin tone necessarily, but that I like regardless. Now you can probably tell from the first coat, this particular magnetic doesn't have as good a coverage as some of the other ones I've shown. I'm thinking of Give Me My Agony in particular. A lot of the other single color magnetics that I've tried from BKL have had better opacity. This one does not. This one is going to require 3 coats. I think you can also see how yellow toned this is in that first coat. And I did pick this polish today because I thought, hey, another zombie polish. This is yet another polish that I had to put on twice because I couldn't find any sunlight the first time I did. The sun was elusive for some of the back end of the summer. So once again, the application footage was taken about a month from when the full hand shots were finally completed. And I did take advantage of that gap in time to use the horseshoe magnet as well. In the second coat, the polish is able to better overcome the pink tones in my hands, and it looks a little less gray and a bit more green. I think you can see that as I'm painting, there is a spot on the right side of my thumb that I feel is pretty bare looking and needs more base color. But we are also getting a better contrast between the silver magnetic line and the base color. I don't think you would need 3 coats if you were intending to use velvet. I did hesitate to buy this particular polish because I did wonder if it would be too close to Lynx by Cirque Colors. Strictly speaking, Lynx has a slightly darker base and a golden magnetic pull. This one is just a tiny bit lighter, but also more milky looking overall, and has a silver pull. Maybe I'm splitting hairs, to forgive myself for buying a dupe. I did have a look at them side by side, and Lynx is actually a bit deeper and has more of a yellowish tone to the olive. And I think Toil and Trouble has almost more of a gray to it, but they are definitely both olive polishes. In the third coat, I get near opacity, but if you really look, that low spot I created is still a bit uneven. I am going to say that I didn't even really notice it while I was going around my everyday life, wearing the polish, but I could definitely see it on camera. And I could see it in person if I actually looked down and examined my hand. The negative spaces where the magnetic pigment has revealed the jelly show how dark it can get in 3. Depending on the exact nature of the light, this can look a little more blue, but that is usually in dimmer lighting. I thought this would be a good Halloween polish. It is a swampy green, a dingy witchy green, even a toady green. I don't think we quite got to a wicked green. I think it's a little too gray and desaturated for Alphaba. In the sunlight, you can see the froggy glory of this polish. Very occasionally, I can see through the base, especially on my ring finger, to my very deep ridge on that nail. Again, not something I noticed while wearing it that much, but you can definitely see it, and it is picking it up on camera. My index finger and middle finger were done using a horseshoe magnet. My ring finger and my pinky finger, I used a neodymium bar magnet. In terms of the color, this polish isn't extremely changeable. Mostly we're looking for the velvet to flash when my fingers change angles, and we're deciding exactly what sort of shade of olive green we have. For what this reminds me of, well, frogs. I was thinking of the northern green frog, the most abundant type of frog where I live. But there is also the American green tree frog, which I think the velvet look embodies a bit better. I used to find those in my grandmother's raspberry patch. They are teeny tiny little guys and so delicate. And they have such a large leap. My advice is to not bring them indoors with you, because you are going to have a rough time catching them again. I decided to take the shade shot first on this particular day because I was waiting for a break in the clouds. I'm still getting nice flashes from my index and middle finger for that velvet. I think the jelly base does look a bit deeper, darker in the olive tones, especially with the cat eye. That's pretty expected in the shade. I do think that in every lighting scenario, the velvet nails show the yellow undertones of the base color better than the cat eye does. For the inside shot, I had lost the sun by this point, so the light from the window is pretty dim. But you can see the flash of the magnetic much better as I swing around to the overhead lights on the left. Now, I might be messing with this all because I'm slowly converting this fixture of, I think it's 6 small round lights to LEDs. Hopefully this won't drastically change my footage, but we will see. The base is now looking quite dark, and this is where I think it sometimes almost looks like a forest green. Really, I just think this is a case of the olive getting quite dark, and the yellow undertones being a little less apparent, and the gray ones being showcased. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so that I can hot glue a bunch of leaves to myself and plant myself in the front yard as a ghillie suit of terror for the unsuspecting chipmunks. Please enjoy a clip of the crows, blue jays, and speed racer being relatively sane.